Right, so it's 9:30, guys. Let's go. First of all, hello. Um, and guys, thanks for attending this session. How to get into INSEAD, HEC, and IMD. So today, the agenda which we have is we're going to touch upon 4 points. First one is goals. Second one is international experience. Thank you, guys. Third one is leadership achievements. Fourth is strengths and weaknesses. Right. So, guys, first of all, good to see you all again. Welcome to this session. And just a little context. Today in this session, we have applicants with GMAT score ranging from 640 to 760. There are a few who are yet to write GMAT. We got people from experience, like without any experience, up to I guess 12 years. The target schools are INSEAD, HEC, and IMD. Guys, would be great if I think all of you are mute, so it's fine. A little intro. I am Shantanu. I am founder and consultant at M and Beyond. I'm an INSEAD grad of batch December 2017. I'm a wanderer, nomad, and I keep on hopping cities and countries. So, guys, objective of this session is to give you, provide you the snippets of what it takes to get into the top-notch business schools. I wouldn't be able to guide you on all the nuances because during the application you spend good amount of time peeling layers beneath you. However, I would like to give you guys a flavor, a tinge of what it takes to get into a top MBA program. Another on a side note, top MBA programs, guys, the density of smart people per square meter is extremely high. Because like this is exactly how business schools differentiate themselves, right? So you think that you might become intellectual or smart going to business school? No, they already hunt for such people. Okay, now guys, to start with, I would say I personally believe to do your application, I personally believe that common sense and logic, these two things are extremely important. We guide you for the business common sense, and the framework that we follow is nothing but pure logic. Now, guys, coming to our first point in the agenda, that is goals. Thank you. So, long-term goal, short-term goal, right? Almost everyone who comes to us, the goal is to become consultant. What do you want to become? I want to become a management consultant. Cool. But the deal is, if everyone is going to become consultant, then obviously school is not going to take everyone, right? So that is exactly where your uniqueness starts, right? Just don't pitch, I want to be a consultant, unless until you are 756, 760, 770 or GRE like 334 or above, because it's pretty competitive, right? Now, to start with long-term goal, guys, here the schools want to understand what's the ultimate goal. What are you going to do with an MBA, right? And I would really want all of you to think deep into this. Just don't say I want to make more money, and that's why I actually want to do MBA. If that's the reason, please don't do MBA, because it's actually going to put dent in your bank account, right? And the thirst of money will never end. So, defining ultimate goal is extremely important. It gives direction to your entire application, right? What we call it is as an opportunity. You see an opportunity in the industry, which you feel, that the industry is going in this direction. In the next 5 years, it's going to be there, and I feel that this is the opportunity I perfectly fit in. And then once you have that, the next thing is we help you define your short-term goal, right? And short-term goal obviously should be connected. Like these two things should be connected. So guys, just as success is a vector quantity, right? You need both magnitude and direction. Similarly, here as well, you need the magnitude, that rigor that I'm going to achieve it, and the direction, right? Long-term goal brings that direction to you, right? Few of the common mistakes which people make over here is long-term goal is I would like to be a CEO of a conglomerate. All right, so what? What actually are you going to do becoming a CEO? And that's exactly where the opportunity helps you. Also, a lot of oil and gas professionals these days are going for MBA, and everyone wants to work in the renewable sector. Again, how are you different, right? So you gotta find your uniqueness, your unique selling point. And guys, your short-term and long-term goal, like I mentioned earlier, should be connected, right? I'm gonna throw an example. In short term, I would like to start baking banana bread. And in long term, I like to open a Harley Davidson store. Doesn't go well together, right? Like apples and bananas. Versus, let's say, I want to start baking banana bread in short term, and in long term, I would like to open bakery with cakes from around the world, right? It's like I'm baking in short term, long term, I'm making it scalable, right? So connected. Another common mistake which people make over here is even if they're connected, right, short and long term goal, that applicants feel that my goal should be really very shiny. It's like I'm the next Elon Musk, right? I'm going to take people to stars, to Mars, sorry. But what's more important over here is the feasibility of your plan, right? Don't just focus on how shiny the idea is. I would say even if your idea is not shiny, but it's feasible, it holds more importance. And this feasibility is it's a very tacit aspect which stays in your application, right? They're not asking you for explain me how you're going to do it, right? But when you're telling them if the plan is not feasible, obviously, I mean, even you wouldn't shortlist someone, right? So feasibility is extremely important. You've got to instill confidence in your admission officer that you'll be able to achieve what you're saying and you're not just saying it. So guys, now we're going to focus more on short-term goal, right? For short-term goal, there are actually three aspects which we feel that you should play on. Number one, your domain or your industry. Number two, your function. Number three, your location. Change only two out of these three. Do not change all the three. I mean, yeah, there are actually people who actually end up changing all the three after an MBA, but two out of three seems more feasible. So just focus over there. And a lot of you might change your location, right? So location is already changed. Now you can change only one between your industry, your function, right? So yeah, but I think we still gotta be here. I haven't touched upon the collinearity yet. Now, guys, I would really like to think. I would want you to think from the perspective that let's say you're at hill A, you're gonna reach hill B, right? Hill A is, let's say, your current situation, whoever you are at the moment. Hill B is the version of you which would be capable of achieving a short-term goal. And there's a difference between these two, right? You need a bridge, right? And the bridge is the answer for why MBA, right? There might be 5, 10 different bridges. But if you're picking a specific bridge, is the answer for why this specific school, right? And a very important point over here, which I'm trying to make, is that your current work experience, your goals, and your reason for MBA should be collinear. And what do we mean by collinearity? It's guys, like if 3 points are collinear, means they fall into the same straight line, right? So that straight line, your rationale behind when you're saying this is what my current work experience is, this is what my goal, these are what my goals are, and then this is my reason for MBA. If these 3 points are collinear, you draw a straight line that gives a damn good direction to your application. It sounds feasible. It sounds that it is thought through. Now, a lot of you, would be switching industries, and then you would say, like, how do I bring collinearity in that, right? So that is exactly where your transferable skills come into picture. For example, let's say I make pizzas, right? But then in short term, after MBA, not after MBA, after this course, I would want to bake banana bread, right? Now this pizza, that is banana bread, right? How do I bring collinearity, right? And the way you can do that is that you understand the nuances of baking, right? You understand how to operate oven. You understand that that baking powder and baking soda are pretty important, right? So these are the transferable skills. So find out your transferable skills. let's move to the next point now. Next point is international experience, and I would say we get a lot of questions on this particular one every time. Why is it required? Because like when I was in business school, my study group, I think we were five. I was Indian, tech, my industry tech, um, Turkish PE, Australian VC, Mexican FMCG, and then Brit consultant. You see, I mean, they're extremely different in terms of our nationality, also in terms of our industry, and also in terms of our work experience. They were like really apart. So now what happens actually when you sit in such a diverse group, that a lot of times you tend to not speak your mind out. Because see, guys, I mean, the main learning from the B school is not from the books, right? I mean, it's not from those notes which your professor is giving you. I'm not saying that it's not important. It's very important. But my point over here is when you argue with each other, right? When you're sitting in such a diverse group, right? When you're arguing with each other, then you get the learning, and that's the best part, and that's the experience, I would say, of a business school, right? But what happens is when you sit in such a diverse setting, you tend to not speak. If you're not speaking, if you're not putting your mind out, then first of all, you are not learning, and then your group is also falling short of one person, right? Schools don't want that because they very carefully design this experience with finesse, I would say. They'll actually make you argue with your group. So yeah, guys, that is exactly where the international experience comes into picture, right? And you can showcase that by telling that I've actually worked outside of my country, right? That's the best case scenario. If you don't have that, then I have actually worked with culturally diverse people, right? I'm let's say I'm actually a project manager, right? So a few of my team members, they sit in XYZ country, the other team members sit there, I huddle with them daily. Right. So guys, actually we also have a blog just on this. So yeah, which is right in front of you. So read this. I mean, this is also extremely insightful. Right. So yeah, guys, I mean, there are actually multiple ways, like I said, you can show that, right? A lot of you might not have, and I mean, in COVID, because of the travel restrictions, people were not able to travel, right? And that's where the problem of showcasing international experience is coming into picture. And this particular question, this particular doubt, a lot of people have that. I would say majority of people have that. So yeah, I mean, if you have worked with a diverse team, please showcase that. And I used to get a lot of one question is that I worked in India. India has like a lot of diverse cultures in it, but guys, sorry, that does not work. They really want you to because when you are going over there, they are not going to merge you with the same nationality, and that's why it does not work. Right. So, guys, like I said, business schools, they just want to make sure that you're a strong addition to the batch, to your study group, where you'll contribute in a diverse setting and not just sit back and watch. If you can prove your medal in such an environment, your profile becomes attractive to the admissions officer. Right? We can move ahead. Okay, guys. The third point in the agenda: leadership and achievement. Again, very important point. Even if the school is not asking for this, but you really got to show, right? I mean, both the points. I mean, the third point, leadership and achievement, and the fourth point, which we are actually going to cover later, strengths, right? You actually got to tell them that that I have this particular attribute, right? And just an adjective for the attribute by itself is meaningless. For example, if you say we are best, join us, you will not, right? So and don't expect schools to buy these things, right? So that is where adjective with supporting evidence, helps. Now, if we pick achievement, I think more than just the achievement, you also got to think about why have you picked this one. Whatever supporting evidence that you are giving, right? Why have you picked this one? Not anything. It really should be significant, right? Irrespective of the school mentioning that. So yeah, guys, for achievement, we recommend following star I. Star, I think a lot of you might be aware of, like situation, task, action, result, right? And we add I. I is impact, right? And we recommend that through achievement, try to showcase leadership in social space, if that's possible. That's like a perfect combination, leadership in social space. A lot of you might not have that, right? But just don't stick to your professional thing. I mean, just don't say that I increased this KPI from 10% to 15%. That's why it's my achievement. Someone else would have increased it, like more than what you are saying, right? You're making yourself vulnerable over here. Then, if you're throwing numbers and you're saying because of this number, it's my achievement, then you are just making yourself vulnerable over there. That is exactly why we inject impact. Though we say we speak out result, but we don't say that this is the reason. With impact, we say that this is why it's my most significant achievement. So, guys, to help you guys understand, I'm going to read out a sample. Today, country's biggest economic asset is fast turning into its most daunting challenge. 70% of college graduates are considered unemployable, courtesy outdated education system that prioritizes academics over practical learning. Even at the organization name, I've noticed extremely limited skill improvement opportunities for less educated workers. Firms' rigid hiring policies for better paying engineering roles further aggravates this issue. I saw this gap as an opportunity to break the barriers of conventional education and help workers acquire better job roles. So, guys, situation has been set, task has been mentioned, right? And we have taken only one paragraph. And let me just see the word count over here. 71. Now, you are not going to get through just because of the situation task we mentioned. Now, what did you do? Right? Here comes the actions. To introduce alternative education practices, I persuaded the management to collaborate with Society XYZ, establish this new chapter. As chapter president, I instituted skill matrix program to cross-train workers on varied practical skills in the industry. I also invited several department heads to deliver lectures on XYZ, aiding workers grasp theoretical aspects of their work. To boost participation, I proposed course certificates bundled with job offers, helping workers save years on formal education and instead focus on experiential learning that offers unique blend of education and employment. Right? This is packed with action verbs. I persuaded, I instituted, invited, proposed, that's it, and helped. Now, after actions, here comes the result. And guys, we also have one blog on Star Approach, so please visit that. It's going to explain to you a lot in detail. Now here comes the result. The result says within a year the effect was evident. 200 plus members enlisted in the chapter. Out of those, 50 workers migrated to engineering roles, and attrition rate decreased by 40%. Right now, we are throwing numbers, we are throwing results. Right, we don't want to say at this point that this is why it's my most significant achievement. Right, wait for it. So now comes the impact. But above all, practical skills replace conventional degrees, especially at times when sustainable education is the need of the hour. And this is why it's my most significant achievement, because it makes it most meaningful to me. So yeah, guys, this one is pretty good. Now, coming to the last point in the agenda today, strengths and weaknesses. So guys, I mean, strength and weakness, strength and achievement. Sorry, before I touch this, there's one point which I've missed. So the sample which I shared with you, though it is in professional setting, but the applicant, it was not applicant's job to do that. Applicant stood for a cause. It's a personal cause. It's actually a personal thing, right? So I mean, don't write just from the professional angle if they're asking for achievement, right? Bring in the personal angle as well, because who you are is not I raised revenue, right? Who you are is this is what I believe in. That needs to come out. All right, now coming to this point, strength and weaknesses. The way I personally see, I know the way they are different is in strength you throw professional stuff. It's fine. Even weaknesses, throw that. It's fine, right? So, guys, to identify strengths, we can take multiple approaches. One is where you look for qualities first, and yeah, I mean, there's another blog over here. It's pretty amazing. It's getting a lot of traction these days as well. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, just take a read. So, so yeah, guys, one is where I was talking about multiple approaches, right? Approach number one is where you look for qualities first and then come up with the supporting evidence, right? The other approach is to identify the strong anecdote first and then figure out qualities inside that, right? For a lot of people, approach one where you pick quality and then think about the anecdote does not work, right? Second approach works, right? So another thing is you might have a lot of anecdotes. Which one should I pick, right? Pick the one which is aligned with your story, the narrative that you're throwing out there, right? To be honest, guys, essays, just by the face of it, mean nothing at all. What really means is that tacit why that you are answering continuously. Yeah, this is why I did that, and behind why it's you, right? So that's something which makes a strong application, not just throwing anecdotes and writing essays, right? Your narrative, your story matters. So yeah, guys, for strengths, I would say follow star approach. Remove I. If you want to throw I, perfectly fine. But we actually follow star approach over here. Right. Now for weakness, guys, first of all, we're not going to sing songs about your weaknesses, right? This is where the applicant, screwed up. No. We're going to touch upon your weakness and we're going to move away. What's more important over here is to be self-aware, right? That I have this weakness, and then like improving yourself from there, right? If someone asks you what's your weakness, you say no, nothing. I don't have any. And this is actually where people struggle a lot. If I ask you for your strength, you will give me 10. If I ask you for your weakness, you're like, okay, wait, let me think. Give me some time. So guys, no one's perfect, right? You will have weaknesses, right? So that's how we actually put it out there, and then it showcases that you have this weakness. After being, first of all, the first step is being self-aware about it, right? And then I will take actions, and then finally I'll improve, right? That's what we want to show over here. So don't waste all your words in just in just mentioning that anecdote, in telling that anecdote, right? Just touch upon the weakness, move away, focus on learnings, focus on how did you improve. All right, I'm going to read a sample. Not going to read the entire essay. So a little context is missing, but I'm going to focus on the strength and weaknesses paras, and you would see. So it has been around 7 months from then. I have moved on to become an employee at xyz.com from an entrepreneur at abc.com. Looking back, I clearly find myself as a short-sighted leader who saw the tornado coming and took a preventive route, but left the followers to their plight. Carrying the ownership of a mistake, I helped my team of 13 employees find jobs through my personal and professional network across India and found Rishabh, a senior designer, a job of a senior designer where he could follow his passion of design, right? I guess there are actually multiple ways of showing that, what impact did you bring on someone's life. One is I helped 1,000 people. Yeah. Another one is I helped a few, but let me give you an example, right? So that's what we did over here. Found Rishabh a job. And it's a true story, guys. This is actually my story. So, and then uh, now follows the strength paragraph. I also helped the team negotiate salary package that was worth their caliber, and most of them realized a good growth. Time and again, I hear from my peers that I'm a good negotiator. So, guys, I mean, you really got to be in the face. You got to tell them that, I'm good at this, right? Brag, but brag modestly. If you're not going to brag about yourself, who's going to? The only source of information they have on you is coming from you, right? So, brag modestly. I was convinced of this ability in me during my work at XYZ, the company I joined straight after my bachelor degree in engineering. For my skills, I was promoted to the position of ABC in 2 years. Just after promotion, I was asked to participate in negotiation of contracts worth INR 100 crores. Full stop. So yeah, guys, I really hope that this session was helpful to you. Right now, I'm gonna hand over the mic to Paridhi, who's gonna take it away from here. All right, Paridhi, over to you. Stage is yours. Mic is yours.
Questions to be answered soon. Thanks, guys, for joining us for the live session. And thank you, Shantanu, for that wonderful, insightful session like you always do. There are a bunch of questions lined up, but we're going to tackle them towards the end. Until then, you'll have to bear with me. Just to introduce myself a little, I am the co-founder of MBA and Beyond. I envision this world to become a better place with better business leaders, and that's why we are here talking to you, trying to empower you to go to top business schools with a purpose. All right. Now, before I talk about our process, I'm going to talk about a little bit on what it really takes to get into a business school. I get on and off asked about a lot of questions. Can I write 5 applications in 1 month? The answer is absolutely no. If you're really trying to get into top 20, or if you're trying to tackle M7s, those are not the number of days that you should be really taking. Because, okay, 5 days, average it out. You're basically just spending, I don't know, you basically just divide 30 by 5. You're just spending a week per application, and that's not sufficient. Less than a week, that's definitely not sufficient. Currently, applicants are struggling to go for round 2 for INSEAD, and they are doubtful about whether they should start now or they should wait out another 5-10 days. I don't know what is the reason and what's holding you back if you really have to go for that school. Most of the applicants have already started their journey, and they already know what their MBA pitch is going to look like. So before we jump onto the process, it's important to understand whether or not you are aware of your MBA pitch, whether or not you know what your MBA brand is going to look like for any business school that you're applying to, irrespective of the business school, guys. Now, having that MBA brand is so important because that's what's going to be your unique selling point in the pool that you're coming from. And you have to understand what pool do you really belong to. If you belong to an overrepresented pool, you should absolutely start your journey early. All the success stories that you see on our websites, those guys actually spend good 7 to 8 months doing just 9 applications. And that's the kind of time that you should really be investing right now. If you're thinking early action in September 23, right now is the time. If you're thinking INSEAD, you can do INSEAD right now. INSEAD, HEC, and IMD are the number of schools that most likely applicants are thinking right now. And I do get questions around ESSEC and SDA Bocconi. These schools have also picked up some because SDA, I think, jumped up the ladder in the past 2 years. So yeah, those are the kind of schools that you should be looking at. Now I'm going to talk about the process, because MBA and Beyond is not for the faint-hearted. It's really a journey that you take. There's a version 1.0 that you'll have right now before you start your journey with MBA and Beyond. And you're going to discover an absolutely new version of yourself when you're making up your pitch for MBA with MBA and Beyond. We actually dive deep into your journey, into your personality, into your professional life to bring out what your unique selling point really is. Our process entails a very important aspect, which is a pre work that all our applicants go through. It's called content gathering phase. This phase is going to be split into three sets for you. Set one revolves around very high level questions around core and fundamentals of any business school, no matter what business school you're applying to. There's some core questions which you and which I know most applicants struggle with. What are your goals? Shantanu just talked about short term, long term goals. Sometimes we just try to make our plan very flashy, like Shantanu said, but what are the evidences for that? So these questions are going to help dive within yourself, bring out the personality, and answer 12 main questions and 40 sub questions. By the time you would have answered these questions, you would have gathered enough understanding about what's your purpose with an MBA? What's your vision? What's your mission? What's your long term goal? What's your short term goal? Why do you necessarily need an MBA? What is that specific gap in your profile that only and only an MBA can help you bridge? Because if you don't have a very convincing answer for that, it's highly likely that business schools don't accept your application. Your answer for why MBA has to be very solid. So by the end of this particular set in content gathering phase, you absolutely have answers to these questions, but they look like scattered pieces of puzzles right now, which of course your consultant and we together with a team of consultant help you put them together. But having strong answers is step one. Then we move on to set two. Set two is a little quirky step. Some people even find it intimidating, but some people like fall absolutely in love with this set and go all over the place asking for feedbacks on this set. So let me talk about this set a little. Let me tell you why do we do this before I tell you what it is actually about. So we spend time with admissions directors of top 10 business schools every year just to get the flavor and an understanding what really is going on, what's the kind of cohort that they're looking for, what's the flavor of the year. So for example, flavor of the year this year is healthcare. I'm sure with the world situation, looking at the situation of the world right now, it's we can clearly predict what the flavor of the world next year is going to be. So you have to be, of course, very internationally and politically and like you have to be very aware from the background that you're coming from. So because of the pandemic, since the flavor of the year was healthcare, that's one aspect. We know healthcare applicants are positioned very strongly this year if they're trying to make an impact and if they're trying to really go for a business school. Second thing that happens when they are trying to define the cohort who's going to join them next year is a psychological analysis of the applicants who are self-bias free. They are looking for a cohort that's fairly more neutral than an average human being. For that, you have to make your application very, very self-bias free. And an important way of doing that is to take off any biases in your application wherever they are. I'll give an example. When you're talking about your strengths and weaknesses, you'll realize that you have a lot of examples to support your strengths. But when you talk about your weaknesses, you don't have like so many examples. You really fall for examples, you fumble for examples. And it kind of makes you, because of course we are humans and Homo sapiens trying to defend themselves. So you're trying to defend yourselves in that particular case. Business schools are looking for fairly more neutral individuals than an average human being. I'm repeating that sentence. So you have to make sure that your application is self-bias free. For that, we as your facilitator, if we have to take you on this journey, have to make sure that we understand you holistically from a third person perspective. For that, we are going to ask you to share three really important people in your life, one personal, one professional, and the third one could be either of them. We send them a really candid questionnaire and collect some information on your personality from them, some stories on your strengths, weaknesses, achievements, etc. You will realize that this is the kind of content and the real meat that you go back to each time to make your application self bias free can do wonders to your application. That's set two. Then we move on to set three. So Shantanu just mentioned that it's important to bring out your personality. And might I tell you, some of the business schools, especially INSEAD, schools like Fuqua, they are very much focused on your personality. They want to know what you are as an individual, what values do you hold true, whether or not you do you suit the values of a business school or not, whether or not you match the cohort or the diversity of the cohort that they're expecting. it's very important to bring out 100% personality in your essays, because business schools are of a thought process that your resume is basically has covered everything in your professional life. Your essays have to clearly bring out your personality on paper. So if you miss out on that aspect, and especially if you belong to an overrepresented pool, it's highly likely that you will not convert your desired business school again. So focus on personality and extracurriculars is definitely something that has to be taken very, very seriously in your MBA application to go beyond your professional journey. So here we put you in set 3, we put you through a personality test. And based on the results of the test, we define the traits that become the backbone of your application. And everything else that you've done in your life is going to hang around it as a supporting piece of evidence. Once all of this is done, you've gathered all the content, you've done all the brain dumping that you could possibly do, and peeled layers underneath you with the help of the frameworks and the sample essays that we'll share with you. Your consultant comes into picture, and your consultant is a graduate of a top-notch business school who has taken a similar journey like yourself and also has gotten scholarship. Some of them have gotten 100% scholarships in their time, some of them have gotten 70, 50, but they're all scholarship holders now. And not just in one school, they got it in multiple schools. So this consultant sits on all the content that you've gathered, goes through all the journey that you've taken, and pictures you as a unique person and presents your story. This is going to be called as your branding document. Your branding document is a one pager piece which has high level storyline, your strategy, your theme, and your direction for any business school. This is your MBA brand that I was talking about in the very beginning. It's important to have this piece of paper in hand before you actually jump on to start writing your essays or work on your letters of recommendation or do anything. So once all of this is sorted, you have your branding document in hand. Some of the applicants also struggle with shortlisting schools. This is the moment when we advise that you sit down with your consultant, brainstorm, and figure out what are the bunch of dream schools, realistic schools, and safe schools for you. We don't only advise you to go for dream schools. Of course, everybody puts in their best effort, but it's not a very sane way of approaching business schools if this is the year that you're going to a business school for sure. So it's important that you bucket and you hedge your bets against dream, realistic, and safe schools. We are going to help you with that once your branding document is ready. Why am I saying that it should be done after branding document? Because it's important for you to make sure that you match the values of the business school. And business schools also see you as a person who has actually gotten deep into your research to understand the values of business school and showcase your match in your essays and LORs. Once you do that, your essays, LORs, anything, interviews will become like a piece of cake. So once all of this is through, we are going to move on to the third phase, which is essays, LORs, and interviews. In essays, we are going to hold your hand, help you with all the iterations you need, but you will realize it's mostly a game of plug and play now. Of course, there's going to be some repositioning, some help needed. Your consultant will be here with you with unlimited hours through and through. You're going to be going to go on calls with your consultant every other day. All the iterations happen on one-on-one calls through brainstorming sessions. We just don't believe in working on a Word document through way of commenting or editing for each other. So you are going to get pure mentorship and thorough mentorship with your consultants here. You also get a session on resume. For your letters of recommendation, we of course don't write it for you, but we help you identify the key pointers that your recommenders should be focusing on. Once all of and that has to go hand in hand with your essays, your LOR. They are all complementary pieces of puzzles together. When put together, they should frame a big picture. So it's important to identify your recommenders also after content gathering so that we know which is this most important person who can vouch for your story. Once all of that is sorted, you can take these 3-4 pointers, speak to your recommender about it, get a coffee with them, have a good relationship with them, and make sure that they are highlighting those points in your application. Eventually, if you make it through, we also help you with your video interviews, and we also help you with your final interviews. We do a lot of mock sessions with you. So that's the full process, guys. It does sound very exhausting to some of you. Some of you I know who work with us, they really want to take this journey because MBA is a very expensive degree, guys. And before you put in that kind of money, make sure that you really know what you really want to get out of it. And knowing that can be a journey in itself. It's important you take that journey before you start your MBA, because MBA is going to really rush past you like anything, and you will not even know. And you'd be like standing with your cohort and thinking, what did you just do and what did just happen? So it's important you take this journey before you start your MBA and then make a full-fledged effort in the direction of your dream schools. That's the process that we work with. If you guys are interested in working with us, because we work with a very selective few, we do very specific profile evaluations. We try to, of course, give feedback as much as possible in our 45 minutes profile evaluation calls. Our team of experts, they are all top-notch business school graduates or have been accepted in business schools. So please feel free to schedule a profile evaluation call if need be. And if you're interested in working with us, these are the 3 questions that you will have to send in your answers in the next 2 days, because we're wrapping up our signups for INSEAD round 2. So if you're really keen on working with our team for INSEAD, HEC, and IMD, it's important you get back to us with these answers to these 3 questions. What is your short-term goal and long-term goal? What is your most significant achievement and why? Tell us about your most significant international experience. Taru or Neha from our team is going to be reaching out to you with these questions. You can simply reply to that email if you're interested. Make sure that you are coming back to us in 2 days. You'll be given a deadline. Today is 5th. I think the deadline for this one is 7th. That's all about it. We have a bunch of questions. Uh, let's take them up. Shantanu, we want you back on screen.
Right.
Right? Just give me a second. I think we're going to be flashing questions here. I'll just jump off.
So one question that I see, I'll read it out. The question is, what are the prospects for international MBA graduates for jobs in a marketing role? I've heard the placement is very, very less. So is it a myth or a fact? I don't think so. That, that there are less jobs for marketing role. No. I mean, guys, the way you get job after an MBA, it's not like the companies are going to come, like all the companies are going to come on campus. They're going to give a PPT, and then they would say, this is an exam, complete this, and whoever wins, you're going to take them. No, it doesn't happen this way. The way you get job is you should look out for jobs, right? And then once, so like prepare a good pipeline. That these are the companies and these are the open roles. Then you reach out to the RMs over there, and they refer you, right? So what you get out of community, this community is a referral. So it really doesn't matter whether the marketing roles are open at business school or not. Yes, there are actually a lot of companies who visit the campus, but honestly, it does not matter. You can straight away get a referral and get the interview invite, right? Hope I've answered your question. Okay.
This next one at the bottom, Shantanu, I'll read it out for you. Um, for INSEAD, do applying for Jan and September intake, admit percentage, is admit percentage the same for both? I get this asked a lot. Over to you, Shantanu.
Okay, it's a good question. Um, by admit percentage, I hope what you're saying is number of people getting in divided by number of applicants applying, right? Aspirants. So, guys, I mean, if you're applying for September intake, right, in that cycle, generally applicants are more ready, right, because there are other schools as well. Whereas if you're applying for Jan intake, there are very few schools who have Jan intake, Jan intake, right? So I personally feel that there are more chances if you apply in Jan intake. Having said that, I also personally feel that Jan intake is best because you also get this opportunity to do an internship, whereas September intake you don't at INSEAD. So yeah, I mean, Jan intake any day. There's another question. Shrivastava, what is the most important factor for someone with above average work experience to work on while working on their application for INSEAD, IMD, RGC? Leadership. I mean, that's the most important factor, right? Because see, schools are looking for potential leaders, right? They totally understand you might not have the opportunity to handle like a team of like 100 people, right? And if you already have that, then you wouldn't need the you wouldn't do MBA, right? So yeah, leadership, pretty strong leadership. And the other thing is, I mean, if you have 9 to 10 years, I mean, north of 9 years of experience, then I think you would also have gotten the opportunity to work with more number of people. I mean, supervising more number of people than someone who has an average work experience of 4 years or 5 years, right? So push here, you know, that's where you have your deal. K and Raju, I'm not having any international experience in applying for INSEAD. Am I competent to apply for INSEAD? I would say, first of all, you're not going to get in if you don't apply, right? Um, Second is, I would say, hedge your bets. I wouldn't say don't apply, but I would say apply, but hedge your bet. Apply to safe schools as well. In an overrepresented pool with good career growth, stand out for a better chance of selection in later rounds. Guys, if you are from over, like, no, don't. I mean, unless until your profile is extraordinarily unique, right? Uh, don't go for round three. Like for example, we generally, I mean, let's say if you are from armed forces, for example, right? Yeah, you can go apply because very few people apply in general, right? So you would still be considered. If you are, you know, male Indian, when you say non-engineering profile, right? Um, would actually like to know more a bit. To be honest, it would be great a bit if you actually schedule a call with Paradhi. Actually, would like to know more. But if you're doing like the normal jobs, right, which all of us have, that might not work. It will work in R1, not in R3. Any other question, guys?
All
Okay.
right. We also 3 minutes.
Is a no. There's another one.
Yeah. No, we're good.
What's the difference between September and Jan intake for NCR? Honestly, nothing apart from the internship in between. In Jan intake, you get 8 weeks. So inside is broken down into 5 periods: P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. After P3, you get 8 weeks of break in Jan intake. But in September, you don't. So generally, what people do is in that 8 weeks, a lot of people just travel, but people also do internships. That's the difference. What extracurricular activities can average 5 years experience can add? A lot. I mean, though we haven't covered ECs in this particular session, we actually have other sessions where we cover ECs as well. But generally, under ECs, I prefer that throw both, like ECs through which you're personally enriched, and ECs uh, with, with which you are contributing to the society or to community. You know, that's how you can break it, and then throw multiple. Like, for example, HEC gives you like good amount of space to write. So go for two personal and then three where you are contributing to the community. INSEAD has like a 300 word essay. Earlier, I think even until last year, it was for 400. No, sorry, it's my bad. My bad. NPS had it for 400. Now they have for 300. My bad. INSEAD has always had it for 300. So yeah, I mean, for NCR, pick two, only two. You don't have enough space, right? 300 words, split it, one personal, one through which you have really, thrown some impact in the society or to a community. And looking at your, um, I think you are in relaxing and healing, meditative connect. I think this can do wonders.
Me too. I was just looking at it. I was like, okay,
I
maybe
just,
we need
just,
to.
I just realized, yeah, like
Interesting.
this can actually do wonders. Okay, right. Then, guys, I think it's less questions this time, right? Um, so I guess that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for attending this session. I really hope this was useful. And if you'd like to know more about us, right, please reach out to Paridhi. There's another one. Okay.
We can to schedule a call. I think we've had a call, but we can do a call again for sure. Shantanu, do you want to take this last one up?
Right. I mean,
This
again, non-traditional finance background. I would really like to know what you're doing. You know, um, for your definition. See, the definition of
yeah,
different for me and for you is going to be different, right? So,
yeah, we
but
we
unless
yeah,
we speak to each other, we wouldn't be able to properly understand. So I think, yeah, Paridhi can help
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, so can you can submit your profile evaluation request, and Archana will take it for you. And definitely, she comes from a non-traditional background as well, so she'll be able to connect with you and understand where you're really coming from, and evaluate your chances for whichever school that you're targeting. Also, along with profile evaluation requests, guys, if you're really looking for some free resources throughout the session, we've been dropping the blog links which are relevant to each section that Shantanu was talking about. They're going to be really helpful if you're trying to write your application yourself for NCR. But if you're trying to do that now, like get started now. That's what I would just say. All the best. Thanks for joining us today.